Want more podcasts? Head over to gmg-podcast.com. You clear up in terms of the propaganda that's being pushed against you. Now, one of the biggest things that I saw was like, okay, you went to DC for that rally. Can you kind of explain what actually happened with that as opposed to the nonsense that is being pushed around with you with that?
Yeah, well, after the media completely slandered me and defamed me after the London rally, it was NICU nurse puts premature babies in danger,
Yeah.
call me reckless and
Well,
whatever.
if you Google your name, the first three things, like, uh, you would think you were the most evil person on the planet in terms, you know what I mean? You wouldn't be like, if you Googled your name, you would be like, this isn't a person who would come on a podcast and talk to somebody about, about anything. This is a terrible person that should be like, that's how bad it is in terms of what they've done to you. So,
Yeah. So I found another nurse also speaking out, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. She was in Toronto, and I was like, okay, we're not alone. We reached out to some of the American nurses we knew were speaking out before us in the spring, like Nicole Siratek, Nurse Erin of the expose in New York City.
yeah.
And so we joined forces with them and organized we under the name of Global Frontline Nurses. We headed down to Washington, D.C. to speak on a health and freedom stage together, and just sharing all our concerns that we were seeing in all different areas, from long-term
Yeah.
care, NICU, from emerge, ICU, whatever, across, like, all different east to
Spectrum.
west.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then and so it was January 6th, and Sarah and I, Sarah Shajunian, my other nurse, we were very naive in, the political situation that was happening in the States. I didn't follow any of it.
Yeah.
So that day, like, didn't really mean anything to me. So we spoke on the health and freedom stage at 10 a.m., listened to a couple other speakers, headed back to the hotel room, for my husband to call me and say, like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. We're back in the, headed back to the hotel room. I was like, it's really noisy though, lots of, you know, police cars and sirens. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what's happening. So I was like, oh, geez. So we turned on the news and we're like, well, that's crazy. And excuse me. And then, yeah, when we flew back home, we were deemed domestic terrorists. Had
Jesus.
the RCMP show up at our house for our involvement in the storming and rioting of the Capitol.
And was there even any proof at that time?
No,
So
no.
so what was the, cause, or what was the reasoning behind them labeling you that?
I think just because we were there. I had the next day, there was these two guys outside of my hotel room while we were waiting for our cab to take us to the airport, and I did a little Instagram live with them and said, "Okay, well, you guys were there. Like, tell us like what happened. What was it all about?"
Yeah,
So I got their stories, and sorry, the little guy came in and out to
it's
go to
alright.
bed.
It's all good. It's all
um,
good. I got a 3-year-old that doesn't go to bed, so don't worry about that.
what's happening right now.
Yeah,
So I did an Instagram live with them, and that's what the media picked up, because
okay.
one of them said, his experience from the whole day. He was talking about the whole day. He's like, was
Yeah,
really loving and peaceful, and because he used those words, the media just had a blast with it, and just I think because it was not essential travel, and these two nurses are flying, like
yeah.
all the it was so ridiculous, like what they're
Well,
coming.